Want to stay ahead of the curve in interior design? Join us on this podcast as we dive into the trends of 2025, a topic brought to you by producer Kao Lee. We're going to discuss about the most compelling interior design trends expected to dominate in 2025. The overarching theme is a quest for human connection, emphasizing cozy, vibrant interiors that offer comfort in an increasingly technology-driven world. The trends are characterized by tactile design, personalization, and a blend of organic and modern aesthetics with a hint of futurism. Key elements include the rise of AI in design, biophilic design principles, color blocking, and the return of vintage styles. Julie emphasizes the importance of creating spaces that promote mental well-being, sustainability, and individuality, urging viewers to embrace personal touches that reflect their unique identities. Guide for anyone looking to refresh their home decor, providing practical tips and inspiration for a more personalized and inviting living space.
Welcome to our deep dive
Okay.
into some of the hottest interior design trends for 2025. We're looking at a report from some top design experts.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I'm already picking up on some pretty cool themes. Like, things are getting really personal, vibrant, and surprisingly, like, really tech savvy.
Oh, wow.
So get ready to, like, rethink how you approach your living spaces.
You know, it's funny how all these trends
Yeah.
seem to be all about like a deeper human connection in our homes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we live in a world where tech is like everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people are like really wanting spaces that feel warm, inviting, and like uniquely theirs.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, I'm totally seeing that too. But what I find really interesting is how that need for connection
Right.
is showing up in so many different design elements. Like, on the one hand, we've got this comeback of like tactile textures and personalized decor, but at the same time, we've got AI, like artificial intelligence, coming in as this like powerful tool for visualizing and designing spaces. It almost feels like a paradox, right?
Yeah, it does. But I think it shows how complex our relationship is with technology. You know,
Mhm.
we're not like totally rejecting it, but we're trying to find ways to thoughtfully use it in our lives and homes.
Mm.
And that's where the idea of AI as like an inspirational tool comes in. You know?
Yeah.
Imagine using AI to play around with different layouts and color palettes
Yeah.
and furniture in like a virtual space.
Like a video game.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it would be like having endless inspiration right at your fingertips.
That is a really interesting point. It seems like AI could like almost democratize design in a way, like make it more accessible
Yeah.
and less scary for people who maybe like don't have the money to hire a traditional interior designer.
Absolutely. But it's important to remember that AI should be a collaborator
Yeah.
and not a replacement for human creativity. At the end of the day, it's still the homeowner who needs to consider the practical stuff, like their lifestyle, budget, and of course their own personal preferences.
Right. So it's all about finding that balance between using the power of technology, but still keeping that essential like human element there.
Exactly. And speaking of the human element, another trend that really jumped out at me is the focus on biophilic design. And it's not just about adding a couple of plants to your living room. It's about like really incorporating elements of nature into our homes
Mm.
in a way that makes us feel good and creates this sense of harmony with the natural world.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot about the benefits of biophilic design, especially like how good it is for your mental health.
Yeah, it's really fascinating stuff, right?
Yeah.
Studies have shown that being around nature can lower your stress, improve your mood, even boost your creativity.
Oh, wow.
And by bringing those elements into our homes, whether it's natural light, air purifying plants, or organic materials,
Yeah.
we can create spaces that are not only beautiful, but also promote peace and tranquility.
That makes total sense. It's like bringing like the calming power of nature right inside. Now, switching gears a bit, I'm seeing a lot of talk about color blocking, which seems to be making a huge comeback.
Yes, and I think it's a really cool trend because it lets people be bolder and more expressive with color.
Yeah, instead of just painting a room one color, we're seeing people use like contrasting colors strategically
Right.
to define spaces, create focal points, and even affect the mood.
Yeah. And what's interesting about color blocking is it's more than just looks. Color can really impact us psychologically.
Yeah.
And if we understand how different colors work together and make us feel, We can use color blocking to create spaces that truly reflect who we are and what we want.
That's fascinating. So it's not just about what looks good, but how the colors make us feel.
Exactly. Now, speaking of trends that encourage self-expression, let's talk about the revival of maximalism. This is like a complete 180 from the minimalism that's been so popular for the last few years, and it's all about embracing abundance, personality, and a more is more approach.
You know, I have to admit, I was a little surprised to see maximalism making a comeback. It seems to go against everything we've been hearing about, like decluttering and simplifying our lives. But then again, maybe it's a natural reaction to that.
Yeah, I think you're right. After years of like really pared down aesthetics, people are wanting spaces that feel richer, more vibrant, and personal. Maximalism is about surrounding yourself with things you love,
Yeah.
things that tell your story and reflect your unique path in life.
I'm picturing those homes you see in design magazines, filled with bold patterns, rich textures, and like a carefully curated collection of personal treasures.
Right.
It's about making a statement, isn't it?
It is, but it's also about creating a space that feels warm, welcoming, and full of life.
So we have maximalism on one end of the spectrum, and then we have the European farmhouse aesthetic, which also seems to be gaining popularity.
Ah, yes, the European farmhouse.
Yeah.
This style is all about creating a sense of rustic elegance and warmth, kind of like those charming countryside homes you see in France and England. Think exposed beams, natural materials like wood and stone, warm, earthy colors, and antique furniture with a story to tell.
It's funny how these seemingly different trends, like maximalism and European farmhouse, both tap into that desire for authenticity and warmth that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, it really is. It's all about creating a space that feels personal and inviting, no matter what specific style you choose.
Now, speaking of technology, we can't forget about the growing trend of smart home integration in interior design.
Mhm.
It's more than just having a cool gadget. It's about seamlessly blending tech into our spaces to make things more functional, comfortable, and sustainable.
Right.
It seems like smart home tech is becoming more sophisticated and affordable, letting us control everything from lights and temperature to appliances and security, all with our phones or even our voices.
Yeah, it is. And the best part is, these smart home features can be integrated into any design style, whether you're into a modern minimalist look or a cozy farmhouse vibe.
So it's all about finding that right mix of technology and design to create a space that's both functional and beautiful. And talking about beautiful, I am really drawn to the personalized spaces trend.
Yeah.
It feels like the idea of creating a space that truly reflects your personality and values is woven into all the other trends we've discussed.
It is. It's a trend that encourages people to move away from those generic cookie-cutter interiors
Yeah.
and create spaces that tell their own story
Right.
and make them feel truly at home.
Yeah. So it's about filling your space with things that mean something to you,
Exactly.
whether it's travel souvenirs, family heirlooms, or artwork that speaks to your soul. And it's about feeling empowered to express yourself through your decor choices without feeling limited by any rules or conventions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all about you.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's take a closer look at some of these trends, starting with that European farmhouse aesthetic. What makes it so appealing, and how can our listeners bring a bit of that rustic charm into their own homes?
Well, I think the appeal of the European farmhouse style is rooted in this longing for authenticity and a connection to the past.
Yeah, I can see that. It's almost like a reaction to the fast-paced digital world we live in.
Mhm.
Like people are looking for spaces that feel grounded, timeless.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the European farmhouse aesthetic, with its focus on natural materials, those
Mm.
rustic elements and antique pieces, gives us that sense of permanence and continuity that could be so comforting in today's world.
So let's break down the key elements of the style.
Okay.
Like, what are some of the hallmarks that our listeners should be looking for if they want to bring a little bit of that European farmhouse charm into their own homes?
Well, one of the most defining features is definitely the use of natural materials.
Mhm.
We're talking exposed wooden beams, stone fireplaces, weathered floorboards, things that bring warmth, texture, and a sense of history to a space.
Yeah, it's about embracing those imperfections,
Yeah.
celebrating the beauty of those aged materials, and creating a space that feels both elegant and down to earth.
Exactly. And it's not just about the materials themselves, but how they're used. Exposed brick walls,
Mm-hmm.
rough-hewn wooden tables, linen curtains, they all create that effortless elegance, a space that feels lived in and loved.
Now, we can't talk about European farmhouse style without mentioning the importance of vintage and antique pieces.
Absolutely. A well-placed antique armoire, a weathered farm table, a collection of vintage dishes. These pieces instantly add character and a sense of history.
Hmm.
It's all about mixing those old soulful pieces with more modern elements to create a balanced and inviting atmosphere.
And I imagine the color palette plays a big role in creating that warm and inviting feel as well.
It does. The colors in European farmhouse style lean towards warm, earthy tones. Think creamy whites, soft grays, muted blues, with touches of terracotta or olive green. These colors create a sense of calm and peace, reflecting the natural world outside.
It's a palette that feels both timeless and inviting, and it lets you play with different textures and patterns without making the space feel overwhelming.
Exactly. And speaking of patterns, don't be afraid to incorporate traditional farmhouse motifs like gingham, toil, or floral prints. Just
Yeah.
keep them balanced with the overall rustic aesthetic.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between rustic charm and modern sophistication.
Yeah.
It's a style that can be adapted to fit different tastes and preferences.
Exactly. You can add touches of European farmhouse style into any home, whether you live in a modern apartment or a centuries-old cottage.
Yeah,
It's all about capturing that essence of warmth and authenticity.
awesome. Now let's shift gears a bit and dive into the world of maximalism, which we touched on earlier. It's a style that seems to embrace this more is more philosophy, which can be exciting,
Mhm.
but also maybe a little intimidating for some.
Yeah, I think a lot of people misunderstand maximalism. They think it's just about cramming as much stuff into a space as possible,
Yeah.
but it's much more nuanced than that.
Yeah, it's not just about clutter, right? It's about like curated abundance.
Exactly. Maximalism is about surrounding yourself with things you love, things that have meaning, things that tell a story and reflect your unique personality and passions.
I think the key is to approach maximalism thoughtfully.
Yeah.
Just like any other design style, it's about creating a layered and visually interesting space without losing that sense of harmony and balance.
Right. It's about creating a space that feels personal and welcoming, even if it's filled with a diverse collection of objects and patterns.
So if someone is intrigued by maximalism,
Hmm.
but feeling a bit overwhelmed, where would you suggest they start?
I would say start by figuring out what you really love, your collections, your travel souvenirs, your favorite artwork, and think about how you can display them in a way that feels personal and cohesive.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to mix different patterns, textures, and styles, but always think about the overall balance and flow of the space.
It's about creating a sense of visual rhythm.
Yes.
Right, like guiding the eye through the space in a way that's both stimulating and harmonious.
Exactly. Now let's move on to the fascinating world of smart home technology and how it's changing interior design. This is a trend that's always evolving,
Mm-hmm.
and it can really improve our lives when we integrate it thoughtfully.
I think what's so cool about smart home technology is that it's not just about having a few gadgets anymore. It's about creating a seamless and intuitive living experience
Mm-hmm.
where technology works behind the scenes to make us more comfortable, more efficient, and even improve our well-being.
Absolutely. And the beauty is smart home technology can be integrated into any design style,
Mm-hmm.
whether you prefer a sleek, minimalist aesthetic or a cozy traditional vibe.
So let's talk about some specific examples.
Okay.
What are some ways our listeners can incorporate smart home tech into their homes in a way that feels functional and stylish?
Well, one of the easiest and most popular areas is lighting.
Okay.
Smart bulbs and lighting systems let you control the brightness, color, even when your lights turn on and off, all using your phone or voice commands.
I love the idea of setting different lighting scenes for different things, like a warm glow for relaxing at night, and brighter, more energizing light for working or cooking.
Exactly. And you can even program smart lighting systems to adjust automatically based on the time of day or your preferences.
Yeah.
It's all about creating a more personalized and comfortable experience.
And speaking of comfort, what about temperature control?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people struggle to keep their homes at a good temperature year-round.
Smart thermostats are amazing for that. They learn your preferences and adjust the temperature accordingly so you're always comfortable while saving energy.
Mm-hmm.
Some models can even tell when you're not home and adjust the temperature to save even more energy.
That's so cool, especially as we all become more aware of our environmental impact.
Right.
So what other areas of the home can benefit from smart tech?
Oh, the possibilities are endless.
Ugh.
Smart appliances, like fridges that keep track of your grocery list, or ovens you can preheat remotely,
Oh, wow.
can make your daily routine so much easier.
Right.
Smart security systems can give you peace of mind and even let you check on your home from anywhere.
It sounds like smart home tech is all about creating a more connected and personalized living experience. But I think some people worry about technology taking over and their homes feeling cold and impersonal as a result.
I understand that concern.
Yeah.
I think the key is to be thoughtful about how you integrate smart home tech. Choose devices that enhance your life without being intrusive.
So it's about finding that balance between functionality and aesthetics. We want our homes to be smart, but we also want them to feel like home.
Exactly. And remember, technology should enhance our lives, not control them.
Right.
It's all about using it in a way that makes our lives better and creates a more harmonious living environment.
Perfect. So we've talked about creating a personal and inviting space, incorporating elements of nature, embracing technology in a thoughtful way. But ultimately, what are some of the key takeaways that our listeners should keep in mind as they think about designing or redesigning their own homes?
I think the most important thing is to remember that your home should reflect who you are,
Yeah.
your values, and your unique style. It's your sanctuary, a space where you can feel comfortable, inspired, and truly at ease. Don't be afraid to experiment, break the rules,
Yeah.
and create a space that tells your story.
Love that. So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive into the future of interior design, I want to leave our listeners with a thought. If you could choose just one element to focus on to make your living space feel more authentically you, what would it be? We'll be back in a moment to explore that question and dive even deeper into these exciting trends.
That's good.
Okay, welcome back to our deep dive into interior design trends.
Okay.
You know, it's funny how this whole idea of personalization ties back to that European farmhouse trend we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
At first glance, it might seem like a very specific look, but I think it speaks to a bigger desire for homes that feel like rooted in history and tradition, you know?
I totally agree. It's like a response to how fast-paced and constantly changing our world is. People want spaces that feel grounded and timeless.
Exactly. And the European farmhouse aesthetic, with all that emphasis on natural materials, rustic elements, and antique pieces, really gives us that sense of permanence and continuity, which can be so comforting these days.
Absolutely.
So let's dig a little deeper into the key elements of this style.
Okay.
What are some of the hallmarks that our listeners should look out for if they want to bring some of that European farmhouse charm into their own homes?
Well, one of the most important things is using natural materials. Think exposed wooden beams, stone fireplaces, weathered floorboards. These things bring warmth, texture, and a sense of history to a space.
It's all about embracing those imperfections, celebrating the beauty of those aged materials, and creating a space that feels both elegant and unpretentious.
Exactly. And it's not just about the materials themselves.
Right.
It's also about how they're used. Exposed brick walls, rough-hewn wooden tables, linen curtains. They all create a sense of effortless elegance. Like a space that's lived in and loved.
And of course, we can't talk about European farmhouse style without mentioning vintage and antique pieces.
Absolutely.
Things like a well-placed antique armoire, a weathered farm table, a collection of vintage dishes. These things immediately add character and a sense of history. It's all about mixing those old, soulful pieces with more modern elements to create a balanced and inviting atmosphere.
And I imagine the color palette also plays a big part in creating that warm, inviting feel.
Definitely. European farmhouse colors tend to be warm and earthy. Think creamy whites, soft grays, muted blues, with touches of terracotta or olive green. These colors create a feeling of calm and peacefulness, like reflecting the natural world outside.
It's a color palette that feels both timeless and inviting, and it lets you layer in different textures and patterns without making the space feel too busy. Exactly. And speaking of patterns, don't be afraid to use traditional farmhouse motifs like gingham, toile, or floral prints. Just keep them subtle and make sure they work with the overall rustic aesthetic.
So it's about finding that balance between rustic charm and modern sophistication.
Exactly.
It's a style that can be adapted to many different tastes and preferences.
Exactly. You can incorporate elements of European farmhouse style into any home, whether you live in a modern apartment or a centuries-old cottage. It's all about capturing that feeling of warmth and authenticity.
Now, let's switch gears back to maximalism, which we touched on earlier. It's a style that really embraces that more is more approach, which can be exciting, but maybe a little daunting for some.
Right. I think a lot of people have the wrong idea about maximalism. They think it's just about filling a space with as much stuff as possible. But it's so much more than that.
It's not just about clutter. It's about curated abundance.
Exactly. Maximalism is about surrounding yourself with things you love, things that tell your story and reflect your personality and passions.
I think the key is to approach maximalism with intention.
Yeah.
just like any other design style.
Hmm.
It's about creating a layered and visually rich space without sacrificing that sense of harmony and balance.
You got it.
Mm.
It's about creating a space that feels personal and welcoming, even if it's full of different objects and patterns.
So for someone who's interested in maximalism but feeling a bit overwhelmed,
Hmm.
where would you suggest they start?
Start by figuring out what you truly love, your collections, your travel souvenirs, your favorite artwork,
Okay.
and think about how you can display them in a way that feels personal and cohesive.
Hmm.
Don't be afraid to mix different patterns, textures, and styles,
Okay.
but always keep in mind the overall balance and flow of the space.
It's all about creating visual rhythm,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Guiding the eye through the space in a way that feels stimulating but also harmonious.
Exactly. Now let's shift gears and talk about smart home technology and its impact on interior design.
Yeah.
This is a trend that's always evolving, and it
Mhm.
can really improve our lives when it's integrated thoughtfully.
I think what's so exciting about smart home tech is that it's not just about having a few gadgets anymore.
Right.
It's about creating a more seamless and intuitive living experience where technology works in the background to make our lives more comfortable, efficient, and even enhance our well-being.
It is. And the great thing is that smart home technology can be integrated into any design style,
Hmm.
whether you like a sleek, minimalist aesthetic or a cozy traditional vibe.
So let's get specific.
Yep.
What are some ways our listeners can bring smart home technology into their homes in a way that's both functional and stylish?
One of the most popular and accessible areas is lighting.
Okay.
Smart bulbs and lighting systems let you control the brightness, color, and even the timing of your lights, all with your phone or voice commands.
I love that idea of creating different lighting scenes for different activities,
Yeah.
like having a warm, inviting glow for relaxing in the evening, and then brighter, more energizing light for working or cooking.
Exactly. And you can even program smart lighting systems to adjust automatically based on the time of day or your own personal preferences.
Wow.
It's all about creating a more personalized and comfortable experience.
And speaking of comfort, what about temperature control?
Oh, yeah.
You know, a lot of people have trouble keeping their homes at a comfortable temperature throughout the year.
Smart thermostats are a game changer for that.
Okay.
They learn your preferences and adjust the temperature accordingly, so you're always comfortable while also saving energy. And some models can even detect when you're away from home
Oh,
and
wow.
automatically adjust the temperature to save even more energy.
That's amazing, especially as we all become more conscious of our impact on the environment.
Exactly.
So what other areas of the home can benefit from smart technology?
The possibilities are pretty much endless. Smart appliances, like refrigerators that keep track of your grocery list, or ovens you can preheat remotely,
Oh, wow.
can make your daily life so much easier.
Right.
And smart security systems can give you peace of mind and even let you check on your home from anywhere in the world.
It sounds like smart home technology is really all about creating a more connected and personalized living experience.
It is.
But I know some people worry about tech taking over and making their homes feel cold and impersonal.
Yeah, that's a valid concern.
Sure.
I think the key is to be intentional about how you integrate smart home technology. Choose devices that will enhance your life without feeling intrusive or overwhelming.
So it's all about finding that balance between functionality and aesthetics.
Exactly.
We want our homes to be smart,
Yes,
but we also want them to feel like home.
exactly. And remember, technology should be there to make our lives better, not control them.
Right.
It's all about using it in a way that supports our well-being and helps us create a more harmonious living environment. Absolutely. As we wrap up our look at the future of interior design,
Yeah.
I think it's interesting how all these trends are really connected. We've talked about such different styles like maximalism and European farmhouse
Yeah.
and the role of technology like AI and smart home features.
Right.
But what ties it all together
Mm.
is that basic human desire for spaces that reflect who we are and how we want to live.
It's so true. I think whether we realize it or not, we all want spaces that make us feel good and make us feel truly at home in the world. And these trends, in their own way, all seem to be pointing us in that direction.
They are. And the exciting thing is that there's no one right way to do it.
Yeah.
You can get inspiration from different styles, use tech that makes your life better, and create a space that truly reflects you.
So as we leave our listeners to think about these trends and how they might use them in their own homes, what's one piece of advice you would give to someone who's feeling inspired but maybe a little overwhelmed by all the choices?
I'd say start by figuring out what really matters to you. What makes you happy? What kind of atmosphere do you want to create in your home?
Mm-hmm.
What stories do you want your space to tell?
Yeah.
Once you have a clearer picture of your own vision, you can start looking at the different trends and
Uh-huh.
see how they can help you bring that vision to life.
It's about trusting your gut and not being afraid to try new things.
Absolutely.
And remember, there's no right or wrong way to create a space that feels like you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your home is your sanctuary, your personal canvas.
Mm.
So have fun, be creative, and enjoy the journey of creating a space that truly reflects your unique style and personality.
Well said. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of interior design.
This is my pleasure.
We hope you feel inspired to create a home that brings you joy, comfort, and a sense of connection.
Yeah.
Until next time, happy decorating.